The Brewers and the Orioles. The Orioles and the Brewers. These two teams are either at the top or near the tops of their division, and yet they're two teams that are unaccustomed to being major players at the deadline. Well, they're also two teams with no excuses this year. There are certain seasons when you have to go, and this is go time for both the Orioles and Brewers. And I'm going to go and start with the Orioles first. Remember how this season started? The Rays were 13-0. They were 29-7. They built a 6.5 game lead over the Orioles, and it looked like, man, the division would be a cakewalk. Well, you hear it all the time. It's a long season. And guess what? That lead the Rays have, it's down to 1 game. Let's look at the AL East standings. This is amazing to see. 1 game ahead, actually, the Orioles are in the loss column, but they've played fewer games. 1 game out in the standings. Toronto 6 back. The Red Sox and Yankees, the mighty Red Sox and Yankees, 9 back. So here are the Orioles. They need a top-of-the-rotation starter and a 7th-inning reliever. That's where they are. They've got more young infielders than they know what to do with, and more coming. So this is the time. And we thought last year might be the time, but they made some trades actually as sellers. Got Yennier Cano in those deals. Can't fault them for that. That was a good move by them. So now their GM, Mike Elias, needs to decide, all right, which young players do I keep? Which ones do I trade? How do I go about this? Now, granted, we don't know what starters are going to be available just yet. We know some of the names, but more could become available, right? The Orioles are looking at this and saying, we don't want to give up too much. Teams never want to give up too much. But Mike Elias has the ability, because of his deep farm system, to get virtually any player who becomes available. He is in that spot now. And this year, there will be no excuse. As I said, they have to fire. The Brewers, same kind of situation. They lead the division. They've had a great little run here against the Reds, gone 5-1, series that were before the All-Star break and after the All-Star break. They are a team that is doing this almost with mirrors to some degree. No Brandon Woodruff, no Aaron Ashby. They are a team with a 5 through 9 in their batting order that, I don't want to be disrespectful to these players, but they're not established major leaguers. I'll put it that way. So let's look at the NL Central standings for another glimpse of how this is playing out. And with the NL Central, yes, there it is. The Brewers, 10 games over now. Lead the Reds by 2, the Cubs by 8. Pittsburgh and St. Louis pretty much out of the picture here. The Brewers need a bat. Could be a first baseman, could be a DH, third baseman, even an outfielder perhaps. They also need help in the bullpen. And this is a team that traditionally has not gone for it in a big way at the deadline. They'll get these piecemeal guys. Jonathan Scope, Eduardo Escobar, Mike Moustakas, who actually helped 1 year. They haven't done anything too dramatic, at least in a buy mode. We saw them do something dramatic last year in something of a sell mode when they traded Josh Hader, a move that basically wrecked their clubhouse. Can't do that again, folks. Now, Matt Arnold is the GM for the first time, replacing David Stearns, but he was Stearns' assistant, so he was part of all the things that they've done before. And I know when you're shopping at Kmart, it's unusual to start shopping at Nordstrom's. I'm not necessarily suggesting they have to go out and get Max Scherzer if Max becomes available, which he seemingly will be. But the Brewers, like the Orioles, need to do better than they've done in the past. They need to take a different course, and it's hard for these teams. They are very protective of their young players. But there comes a point for a team when you have to not only answer to your fans, but you have to answer to your clubhouse. Your manager, your coaches, and your players. Because the way these guys see it in the clubhouse, we've put forth the effort all season long. We've busted our butt. You've got to do that now to support us. Really, the Brewers need serious reinforcements. The Orioles are a little bit different. They need to be supplemented, but the Brewers need some help. They've had injuries this year. They've had young players come up, some of who have done better than others, but they're young. They need help. So in Baltimore and in Milwaukee, the heat is on.